Hi, Hotties. Welcome back to the Hoops for Hotties podcast, the one and only sports podcast for the girls, the gays, the theys, and the straight men who don't want to admit they don't know anything about sports. I will be your teacher, teaching you everything that you need to know about what's going on in the sports world. And today we are going to be talking about football. I'm going to explain why everyone hates Aaron Rodgers. That's a serious name, y'all. I'm not saying everyone on the freaking planet hates him, but I've never met a real person in real life that does like him, and I'm here to explain to you why. So we're going to get into Aaron Rodgers' lore, the tea, the drama. Sit down, grab a snack, because this story's good. Aaron Rodgers is a four-time NFL MVP, okay? He's good, which is why some of the stuff I'm about to tell you slides under the radar a little bit. He's known for his incredible football IQ, which probably is the reason why it seems that he thinks he's the smartest person in every room he walks into. He's been called a diva by a lot of media, former NFL players. The consensus around the NFL and the experts who cover it and have played it seems to be that he's a little bit of a diva. Our story starts in 2020, the year of our Lord, when his team, the Green Bay Packers, that he led to a Super Bowl victory, mind you, that was the 2010 NFL season. I was probably still watching Hannah Montana then. So it's been so long and so much has happened since then that it's like, wow, people are calling upon him. Listen, if you're that guy, you need to win another Super Bowl because that's not mattering recently, you know? But the Green Bay Packers were his home. Aaron Rodgers was Green Bay. However, in 2020, the Packers traded up in the NFL draft to draft Jordan Love, who is also a quarterback. This was a huge deal and really pissed Aaron off because when you're an incredible quarterback on a team and they draft a quarterback, that means that they're drafting your replacement and they're making an escape plan for when you eventually get old. So they want to get this new guy ready to replace your ass. And the funniest part about this is that Aaron Rodgers was that guy who was drafted to the Green Bay Packers to replace a Hall of Fame quarterback. So he knows how this story goes, and he does not want to be on the other end of it. Aaron Rodgers was pissed at his current team and felt betrayed, as he should have. However, he decided to channel his anger into his play and won the NFL's MVP award, which was back-to-back MVPs, making him a four-time NFL MVP, which is bullshit. He also led his team to the NFC Championship, where they lost to none other than Tampa Bay Brady. And by that, I mean Tom Brady when he was playing in Tampa. That's when I started liking Tom Brady. I used to hate him when he played for the Patriots, but when he moved to Tampa, I don't know. I was fucking with him. But that's a story for another day. Even though Aaron won the MVP, instead of basking in the glow of being an NFL MVP and enjoying that, his relationship with his team just fractured. The 2021 offseason was an absolute mess. Aaron wasn't showing up to team activities, and then a power struggle began between Aaron and the organization. Aaron was basically demanding that he be a part of all team decisions that are being made. I'm talking coaches' decisions. I'm talking who are you going to draft next? Roster decisions. Aaron wanted a seat at the table where decisions regarding the Green Bay Packers were being made. And that's not customary for a football player to get. You're supposed to show up and play, and the owners are supposed to run shit. Aaron was basically asking to be a junior general manager of the team. Now, this causes a bit of a dilemma in the Green Bay Packers leadership because do we want to risk losing this Hall of Fame guy by not giving him what he wants and standing our ground and saying, no, players don't run shit in Green Bay, we run shit? Or do we want to give this guy what he wants so that he stays around for longer and hopefully we can win another Super Bowl? Well, Aaron likes to keep people guessing and waiting, and he made the most drama he absolutely could out of this whole back and forth with the Green Bay Packers, and he used every card he had in his deck, including hinting at retirement and publicly criticizing his team. So what did the Packers do? Well, they made Aaron Rodgers the highest paid player in NFL history, even though he said he wasn't happy with how the team was being ran publicly. No one knew if he was leaving or if he was staying, but one thing about that money, honey, it'll make you stay, but not for too long. So the next year, okay, things are good, things are great, Aaron's back, whatever. So then enter the 2022 NFL season. Aaron Rodgers does the exact same thing. Great season, horrible offseason. And this time it was much worse. This is in February of 2023. The Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers embarked on a 4-day darkness retreat at Skive Cave Retreats in Southern Oregon to aid in his decision-making process regarding his NFL future. He ended up spending time in a dark, isolated room to assess his option. Rodgers spent 4 days and 4 nights in a 300 square foot, partially underground, hobbit-like structure devoid of light. The room contained a queen bed, a bathroom, and a meditation-like mat. While the room was designed to be dark and silent, it had lights and electricity, which could be turned on from inside. The door remained unlocked so guests could leave at any time. So basically, he was in there by choice, assessing his NFL future. And then he decides to go to the New York Jets. The Green Bay Packers finally trade him, and it actually ended up working out well for the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love. He actually ended up being incredible for them. The Jets were so desperate for a savior because their quarterback that they drafted, Zach Wilson, while he might have looked like a quarterback that would star in a Disney movie and lead his team to the state championship, he was definitely not that. So since they were so desperate for a savior, they decided to not only take on Aaron Rodgers and court him like he was the baddest bitch in school, but they also let him bring in all of his buddies, including an offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who had a horrible head coaching stunt. But they said, you know what? Aaron wants him. We're going to get him. After betting it all on Aaron Rodgers, he ends up getting hurt in their season opener versus the Buffalo Bills on 9/11. Keep that in mind. The New York Jets season opener, they're thinking that they are a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. They get the Aaron Rodgers. All the fans are ready. They're waiting. And 4 plays into the game, Aaron Rodgers goes down with a torn Achilles. Now, if you know anything about tearing your Achilles, the last thing you want your 40-year-old quarterback that's the oldest in the NFL to do is tear his Achilles. Horrible. So the first season of the Aaron Rodgers New York Jets experiment was an absolute waste. Now, part of the issue is he refused to accept the normal healing timeline, which is normally a year. He decided to undergo a very innovative procedure that was pushing the boundaries of modern science because he was determined to possibly get back from a torn Achilles within the year. That obviously didn't happen, and year 1, like I said, was a waste. Then in year 2, Aaron Rodgers played in all 17 of the Jets games, but he just wasn't the same Aaron Rodgers that they were begging on their knees for. There was one moment where he publicly shoved his coach during a game when his coach tried to hug him. He was publicly calling out his teammates for making mistakes. And some of his teammates were younger and scared to disappoint the Hall of Fame, majestic, the man, Aaron Rodgers, while some of them were just plain annoyed at his ass. Because of this, the locker room became fractured. And in order to put a bandage over a bullet hole, the Jets decided to fire their head coach, Robert Saleh, who was a defensive-minded head coach, and their defense was never the problem. See, one thing, Hotties, in football is if your offense sucks and your defense is great, it doesn't matter because you might be able to stop the other team from scoring points, but you can't score any yourself. And as you can imagine, when things like that are happening, the defense is working hard and doing their best and the offense is shitty, that also fractures a locker room. And keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers handpicked the guy who's organizing their offense. After the season, right before Valentine's Day, the New York Jets decided to release Aaron Rodgers and release their fan base of this torture. Now, let's talk about some of the off-the-field things surrounding all of that on-the-field controversy that I referred to, because you're probably like, okay, that sounds bad, but it's not that bad. Okay, while he was in Green Bay, he had a coach that he did not like. Basically, I believe it was Mike McCarthy. Green Bay gets him as a coach, and Aaron Rodgers kind of had a personal beef with him because Mike McCarthy's team had passed on Aaron in the draft, so he had a little bit of a personal beef with him and refused to listen to him. Some of his teammates have since come out and said that Mike McCarthy will call a play for the team to run, and then Aaron will go out on the field and call his own play. So the players are confused, like, what are we supposed to run? What are we supposed to do? And Aaron started calling the shots. I believe that they did the math, and like 66% of the plays that Mike McCarthy was calling, Aaron Rodgers ignored and called his own. And then there was the whole leaving Green Bay saga where he forced them to pay him and still left anyways. But off the field, his brother had a stint on The Bachelorette and ended up opening up, as people do on reality TV dating shows. You know, the sad music plays in the background and everything gets all dramatic and they have an intimate moment. And then he says, "I'm not close with my brother. No one in my family is." the bomb that this dropped. Because, not to get too much into Aaron's personal life, but he hasn't really had any long-standing, super long-term, strong-looking relationships in years. And so with most players, we see, they have family or whatever. And so to hear that he's not even close with his immediate family is a little bit of a bombshell and a little bit of a red flag. But the reason why is really what got me. See, I went and did my due diligence, y'all, and I listened to Aaron talk about the situation, and I listened to his brother talk about the situation. His brother basically described it as Aaron was a do my own thing kind of guy, and it just didn't work out with the family. And while they love him, they just don't have a relationship with him because Aaron always wanted to do his own thing. Aaron described it as some weird, his family was involved in some weird church type of thing. But basically, the conclusion I came to was Aaron wanted to do his own thing and go his own way away from his family. The consensus was that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a relationship with his family because he wanted to go on his own path. Then there was the COVID-19 pandemic heard around the world. Aaron Rodgers, this is the straw that broke the camel's back for most people who were teetering on the edge as to whether they hated him or didn't. And this is when a lot of Packers fans really started to hate the guy. So obviously the media is asking everybody when the COVID-19 vaccine is coming out, are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? They're kind of just trusting people to tell them that they're vaccinated because of health and safety protocols. Not only are you putting your immediate teammates and coaches in danger, fans that are attending games, some people aren't comfortable with certain people not being vaccinated, whatever. And in a professional setting, just like in school, you have to get certain vaccinations to attend school and college, and to go to certain countries, you have to have certain vaccinations. To play professional sports at the time, you were supposed to be vaccinated for the COVID-19 pandemic. However, when asked, are you vaccinated straight up, Aaron Rodgers responded, yeah, I'm immunized. The Packers decided to go by his word. Why would he lie about that? The media goes by his word. Fine. Then Aaron Rodgers gets COVID. Obviously, it's a possibility for people to get COVID while still having the vaccine. That's true of any vaccine. However, the fact that Aaron Rodgers got COVID after saying he was immunized caused them to find out that he was, in fact, not vaccinated. So I don't know what the hell immunized means, but that's slick. That's what liars do, So because he contracted COVID-19, he had to sit out, which puts his team in a bad position. But not only that, the Green Bay Packers ended up getting fined around $300,000 for Aaron's lie. This also caused a huge media storm that was really distracting for the team. And instead of coming out and apologizing for lying, Aaron said, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. You're going to think, oh, like she's definitely dramatizing that. No, this is what he said. He said that he was a victim of a witch hunt of the media and that the woke mob was coming after him, okay? And that they were trying to put the nail in his cancel culture coffin. Not to get too political around here, but if that don't sound like a Donald Trump tweet, I don't know what does. But speaking of politics, he also considered being RFK Jr.'s vice president. He considered running for vice president of the United States. But the thing that stopped him was that he would have had to retire from football, and he loves football too much to go into politics. Thank God. Then there was his beef with Jimmy Kimmel when he accused Jimmy Kimmel of being on the Epstein list. And I don't know if he was on the list or not, but Jimmy Kimmel was pissed. And he tweeted at Aaron Rodgers and cussed his ass out and said that he was putting his family in danger. And Aaron doubled down on it. And that became a whole beef. I don't think that an NFL quarterback, look, I'm not one of those shut up and dribble kind of girls. I love when athletes have personalities and come out and say what they got to say. But do you need to be on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday, which is the Pat McAfee show, girls, if you don't know, is the show that airs every day on ESPN, and it's a bunch of bros. Literally the intro of the show is football. Not even joking. Football. And Pat McAfee is the highest paid person at ESPN. It might be Stephen A. Smith now, but he's one of them. And he wears a fucking wife beater to work every day. And he's yeah, fuck yeah, we cuss on this show. It is the most bro. I feel I have to take a shower after accidentally seeing a clip of it. I hate that show. No offense. But it's so barstool coded. And Aaron Rodgers made an appearance on there every Tuesday where he would talk about not football. Like, he talked about doing ayahuasca in Costa Rica on there. He talked about the Epstein list, as you heard, and it became problematic for whatever team he was on, because he's going on TV saying all this crazy stuff. And then you imagine the media is asking his teammates and his coaches about it. And it's like, bro, we suck. We're just trying to focus on football. And the Jets were horrible. And they asked Aaron, you haven't been to the playoffs in 14 years. How do you feel about that? And he's like, well, I've only been here for 2. So, the other years had nothing to do with me. Why the fuck would you say something like that? And I do understand why the Jets would want to get rid of him, because, I mean, during 2024 minicamp, which is the time that you're supposed to be preparing for the upcoming season with your teammates, Aaron Rodgers skipped it to go on a trip to Egypt. And as you can imagine, all of the media at minicamp is asking, where's Aaron? Where's Aaron? What's happening with Aaron? And they're having to answer for his bullshit. So the Jets said, bye, girl, pack it up and take all your friends with you. And they got rid of everybody. They pretty much cleaned house. So now Aaron is kind of he's single, and he's looking around. He's going, who want me? Who want me? And nobody want him. He was holding out hope for the Minnesota Vikings to want them, because honestly, they had the best team. They were in a situation where they were a quarterback away from being a contender. But they decided to put their faith and their trust in their young quarterback that they drafted, J.J. McCarthy. I call him the meditation man, because at Michigan, he meditated before all of his games, and those pictures used to send me. But, which, more power to you, girl. Do your meditation. I'm not judging. But they decided to put their faith in J.J. McCarthy. Instead, J.J. didn't get to play last year because he was hurt, and he got hurt in the preseason, so he never really got to have a rookie season. And some people are criticizing Minnesota for giving a Super Bowl talent roster to a rookie quarterback. But I feel like if you're going to take a chance on a guy, kind of like the Green Bay Packers did with Jordan Love, you got to take a chance on the guy. Let him have the opportunity. Let him try. One thing most teams don't want to do in sports is get older. Aaron Rodgers is a good enough player to where they would be willing to take that risk. But I'm a Falcons fan, so this has nothing to do with me. But if they were considering taking on Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, how much longer before he dramatically retires and goes and does shrooms in the woods for the rest of his life? Like, I don't know how I would feel about that. But it seems to be the number one contender to get Aaron Rodgers is the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that never loses, never has a losing season, but always loses in the playoffs. The unfortunate thing about this is this would take away a job from Sierra's husband. This would take food out of the Sierra and Russell Lights' mouths. However, if they want to make that money back, I definitely think Sierra and Russell Wilson should start a black dating show similar to Love is Blind, where they're the hosts. Because the way they put DK Metcalf and Normani together, woo, love that. That's black excellence right there. But the point is, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Normani, Sierra, they might have a new neighbor in Aaron Rodgers. And their coach, Mike Tomlin, I don't know enough about what's happening on the field to judge if it's a match or not. Okay, I don't. But based on vibes and my woman's intuition, I don't think Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers makes any sense. I don't see him fitting into the culture there. I don't see the coach bowing down to all of Aaron's diva needs and wants. I don't think that it makes sense, but prove me wrong. So yeah, ladies, that's it. That's the TM why people hate Aaron Rodgers. If you want to know more, if you want to know why people hate other people in sports, please comment below who we should go through next. If there's anyone's lore you want to know about, I love talking about these stories. And I'm interested to see what happens in the NFL world, because the offseason is my favorite. I love seeing people switch jerseys and move on. It's like watching a dating show. It's literally like watching a dating show. So I'm loving it. Thanks for watching or listening. Love ya. Bye.